This is looking nice, and yeah, we can see some roughness on the mesh, but it won't be a problem. So when we render this, it won't be visible that much. Okay, so let's now move to this Solaris. So we have to, for that we have to go to this stage. So it's completely a different viewport and everything, right? And here we have to load all those things over here, and here we have to provide it a USD format. So let's export a USD, and first let's create a quick marks. So we can switch between tabs by the number. So to create quick mark, we have to use control plus number. So control plus 1, so we have set a quick mark. And for object level, we will use control plus 3, and for shop level we will use control plus 2, right? So let's export this. So to export this, we will use USD export, and we will save it in cache. And before exporting, I need a different color on this each, right? So let's just separate this. For that, let's use a split, and okay, so I need color on the base. So let's use a color here, and 0.005. I need bit reddish tone on the base. And second color we will assign to this. And here if I middle click on this, I have a one group name inside, and I will assign color on that. So let's use that. And as you can see, it's a primitive group, so we have to assign to a primitives, right? I have already like selected color for this, and I need a bit bright inside. And I need this inside face, right? So you can see here it's we are getting a bright color for inside faces. And make sure we have to use primitive for this also. And now let's merge this. So when we export this, we will get all of this color attribute inside Solaris. So let's, and okay, so let's use one. Cool. And we can just select here USD, and yeah, we are getting all this. Let's rename it asset. And next thing we want is camera. So let's load camera. We have already set camera at object level, so let's copy all of this. Paste here. If I have to connect this, and we can see through the camera, and it's because of this aperture. So let's use this. Cool. And there are two ways of loading assets in Solaris. So one is this, and second we can use import shop. And here we have to just select that. So for here I'll use this path. I have shifted my files to a D drive, right? So let's give it some nice color. Copy this and paste over here. So if I merge this, let's rename this. It's not visible because we are at first frame. So let's let's choose our favorite frame, which is 300. Yes, so everything is loading and we can see some clipping is happening over here because of nearby. So let's make it 0 and 1000. Yes, all fine. And to render over here, so we have to use karma, right? Here we can just select this and we can render it. So this is what it's look like. And next we will add lights in this. Let's add light in this, and I need dark background. Right. And so I need one light from this angle. So to create any light, we have to use this area light, right? Yeah, so now let's make changes to our light. 1.5. And I want to increase the height of this. Yeah. And now let's increase the intensity of this. And exposure for 25. Yes, this is nice. Okay, and light should be here. After, let's use key. And I want one more light. It should be fill. And I want this here. Let's use world. Let's rotate this. Now let's add values over here. And here I want less and less exposure default. Okay. And you can see some specular over here, and I don't want it. It's just to fill light. So let's make it 0. So our light setup is done, and now we will work on most important thing is shader. Let's see that next. To assign a shader, we have to use material library and just connect this here. You can rename it as. And now we have to use the Solaris. So it will look like this. So let's select our camera, press D, dark background. And to assign shader, we will use this. But before that, it seems like it's not reading right camera. Okay, so it was something wrong. Okay, so to assign shader, first let's go inside, and here you can use principal shader. So let's start with slab. How do we assign it? To assign, we have to go over here. So let's just type the name which we just renamed. So let's use slab. Now it's reading. And to assign on this geometry, we have to go to assign to geometry, and we can just select this, click and drag. You can see it's changed, right? So let's go inside, and now we can make changes to it. So let's use karma, and we can just quickly visualize this happening over here. It's reading the right color. but it's too bright, so let's reduce this, and I don't want that much bright. Yes, this looks fine, and reflectivity is too much, let's reduce that, and it's slightly in this, and it's looking very flat now, and I need some roughness on it. To add procedural noise on this, we have to go to displacement tab and make sure you turn off this option. So it will add a true displacement, which takes lots of time. So I think it's too much. Let's reduce it by 0.01. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go to 25. Let's increase the roughness. Okay, again it's too much. I think 2 to 5 is best. Yes, this will work. And you can see it's everything is loading over here, so it's hard to visualize sometimes. So what you can do, you can just go here and you can render to ampli, right? So it will just render it properly. Yeah, this looks good. So let's close this. And now we will assign shader to our base. Let's use. And always rename your shader properly so you can read here. Right? So let's use base, and you can see here, sorry, it's not visible here. Now let's go inside and active this karma render. You can see we are getting nice reflection over here. Everything is fine. I need 111. So now you can see we are getting a reddish tone, and let's reduce roughness. I need sharp reflection on this, and reflectivity is too much. I need bit more. Yes, it looks nice. Cool. So next we will work on our chocolate. So let's start with layer 1. So for that we will use principal shader. And let's rename it as a cream. And also let's assign it first. It's cream. And if you go inside the chocolate, yeah, let's reduce roughness, and reflection is too much, and 0.5. This looks nice. So now let's create second layer, which is pure chocolate. So give it a brown color. Yeah, I need bit roughness on this, 0.75. Let's reduce the reflection bit. You can see there is we are getting a really sharp reflection on this. And there is one more option there is subsurface scattering. So if you want to, you can test it, and it will increase the rendering time. So I won't change it. So let's leave it default. And now let's move to third layer, which is topping. Let's assign it over here. Layer 3. and I need a bit bright color on this, so let's use, yes, yeah. And next we will see how to render this. To render this we have to set a path over here, so let's use, and I like version up over here, so whenever I render this, so I can just change it over here and everything is fine. I will test with half resolution, and I don't want any motion blur, and let's use sampling flow, and it's like minimum raise and noise level is there, so we won't change anything much over here. And let's just render one frame. Yeah, it's looking nice, and we can render this, but it's like 500 frames right now. You can see one number over here. If I set it 3, it will render every third layer now. So if I divide 500 by 3, then it will render around like 166 frames. So because it's heavy render, so I always prefer rendering like odd and even frames. So here I'm using this 3 frames, right? So let's render this, and okay, so let's play this. Oh yes, so you can see it's a problem over here, and yes, we can avoid this. Just go to Windows, go to Preferences, and here you can see missing frames. Use nearest frame. So now you can see, yes, it's working fine. And you can see there is like lots of noise on this, and let's reduce that. So here we get a filter, and we can use NVIDIA denoiser, and let's version up this, and I want to render this, and every 10th frame, so it will render around 50 frames only. Let's render this. So now you can see we are not getting any noise pattern on that. Let's compare it. Yeah, so this one is looking nice, and I think we can go with higher resolution on this. Cool, so let's and I will render with and make sure it's 9. Let's stop this now. Yes, we can keep a 3, and we can render this. I have rendered 230 frames, and you can see some jitter is happening over here at this area, and we know how to fix it, right? So let's minimize this, and let's go to object level. Yeah, so it looks fine, and I think, and there is no jitter, and yes, it's good to go. So we can render this till 500 frames. Yes, and also we can just render this in a sequence. So I want to catch this first, and it should render. So for that, let's go to out, and here I will use fetch. So just rename it as a first cache it. Let's go to here, and here I will just copy this. So it has this save to disk option. So if I copy this, so when I render this, it will render this node, right? And the same thing I will do here also inside this karma, and here also I get this, right, render to disk, and I'll just copy this and make sure it's version 4. We'll go to out and let's use karma and paste over here. It's not reading that path. Why is that? Yes, now it's reading. Oh, because I have changed this version and I have copied after that, right? So it's okay, no problem. And to render this in sequence, let's click over here, and here you will see order. So I want by node. So first it will cache this and it will run our karma overnight. So let's render this. And there it is, result of our chocolate simulation. I hope you learned a lot about flip simulation, meshing and all. And yes, there is no jitter now. And I hope my explanation explained it so you can control it even more. And I hope you like this lesson. Do try it and send me your result. I always love seeing it, and see you next time.